So, the case of Jenny Field at Hackensack Lodge marked the second time that a young woman had survived a gruesome bloodbath and found herself face to face with Jason Voorhees, a claim which never held water, as it were. Again, written off as a loony, much like Alice Hardy before her, but Jason would, very shortly after, I believe it was the next day, make his way over to Higgins Haven. Is that correct?
Yeah, Higgins Haven. A place with that big old barn out there over on the murky end of the Crystal Lake. Yeah, Jason ravaged that place.
Yes, and it was there too, I believe, correct, that Jason's reign of terror in the community had been addressed to the public, a little more widely known at this point. People were more aware without fully knowing what was going on at the Higgins Haven case. And it was also the point where this is one thing that really made Jason's appearance sort of a hard thing for the community to understand, I believe, was he was first seen as a child, and he was seen as looking sort of like John Merrick, and now he's a hockey mask-wearing fellow. So there is no cohesive description of Jason Voorhees at this point, which made him a harder person of interest to track down and confirm the existence of.
I guess that the news just didn't make it that way in quite enough time, but, it had nothing to do at all with Jason's appearance, whether he's there or not there, looks like this or looks like that. It was simply a matter of Crystal Lake's finest, as they call themselves, not willing to do their job regardless. I mean, sure, they could have found Jason, but they weren't really putting in much of an effort. It was Chris Higgins. She had to put up one hell of a fight to survive that night. And when she did, she dropped that fucker.
What is up, clean freaks and filthy friends alike? Filthy Dan coming at you for another film discussion, and welcome to week number 3 of the Giant Friday the 13th review series, the ultimate summer collaboration being brought to you by myself, Good Real Hunting, Nick Cooling, Robbie Sobel, and Chase Moser. Also is going to be accompanied by watch parties over at House of the Living Dead. So each week we're taking a look at one Friday the 13th film, and this is all leading up to the grand finale in August on Friday the 13th. This is, again, probably the largest collaboration in terms of Friday the 13th reviews. So be sure to go and check out everybody else's reviews and the watch parties. All that will be linked down below. So after the back-to-back success of Friday the 13th Parts 1 and 2, it was only natural that a third film would emerge. This time, it would emerge, though, in Super 3D. This brought Jason out from the screen into the living rooms and into the theaters. So let's take a look at Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. Only it's going to be in Danavision 2D. Friday the 13th Part 3 was directed once again by Steve Miner, who's returning from the success of Friday the 13th Part 2. This one stars Dana Kimmel, Paul Kratka, Tracy Savage, Larry Zerner, and Richard Brooker. And this one picks up only hours after the events of Friday the 13th Part 2. This time we're following Chris Higgins and her friends as they are going to spend a weekend in the woods up at Chris Higgins' family's home. And of course, this group of teens are summarily stalked and hunted down by the legendary Jason Voorhees, who is really starting to come into his own as an icon here, and honestly, this is the film that really did cement him as an icon, so that's one thing we do get here. I do like in this film the way that it flows mostly pretty seamlessly from the events of part 2. I mean, sure, we've got Richard Brooker, who's built like a ship brick house. He's definitely a much larger frame than the combination we got of Warrington Gillette and Steve Dash in part 2. But, you know, it's one of those things, if you don't really think about it too hard, you won't notice it. And that kind of does fall into something that I thought about the last film, where I'm pretty sure that Jason coming back for Ginny was a dream at the end of part 2. And I think Jason's appearance in this does kind of give some sort of clearance to that. Especially when it plays back the ending of the second film, we don't see Jason jump through the window, which kind of rules that out as, okay, that didn't happen. What we see with Ginny running into the shack and the showdown with Jason, that all happened. Her striking him on the shoulder happened. But everything after that, I don't think any of that really happened. Of course, her and Paul make it out, but I don't think that Jason jumps through the window. And I think that the way this film sets up, it kind of gives some clearance to that. And this time, I know this is something that I've often complained about, but this time, I found myself actually enjoying the dynamic between the teen cast in this film. Of course, in the past, I've been pretty down on it, but this time I really think that the characters, they gelled pretty well together, and in some way, I think that these characters were sort of a dry run and helped pave the way for the character group that we get in the final chapter. You could buy that these are real friends who hang out together. There is that sort of we know each other pretty well dynamic that I think they really sell it pretty well. And on top of the dynamic of the characters, there are a couple of them that are really worth praising, in my opinion. Of course, Chris as a final girl she's pretty solid as a final girl, and I think that giving her a sort of a PTSD backstory already, that there's just something that it brings to the film that we don't get in really a whole lot of the rest, except for, we'll save for some of the sequels down the road. But in these early films, I think that setting her up like that, it adds something extra to the film. She's going out there to try and, put this traumatic experience behind her, and that experience was a Jason Voorhees encounter, and I think that really, for the most part, works, because you get to the third act when she has to fight him, and she's fighting her ass off, and I think as the audience we know that it's Jason that she was talking about. Of course, during the third act fight, she does find out that, oh my god, this is the man who attacked me. I have more thoughts on that we'll get to later. But no, I think that Chris really does well at holding her own against Jason in the third act. In some ways, she almost is better than Ginny in the sense that she's more of a fighter, where Ginny used her brain power to really fight Jason. Chris did a pretty good job at holding her own physically. I mean, stabbing him a couple times, like right in the hand, right in the knee. She wasn't taking no shit from Jason. Shelley also I really like. He's a lot of fun here, and sure, he could be annoying at times and pretty tasteless with some of his pranks, whatever. But goddamn, he's a fun character to watch, man, and he's really the underdog type that you want. You want to root for this guy. Sure, he makes it hard, but you want to root for him, and you want to see him get the girl, even though you want the girl that he's going for yourself. You kind of want him to get that. You want Shelley to get Vera. And, I mean, Shelley has some of the funnest moments in the film, I think. Of course, you get at the little gas station when him and Vera go out to buy some shit for the little shindig get-together that they're doing. He throws her his wallet, and it's right after that fucking bitch at the store makes that really snide comment at Vera about, we don't accept no food stamps. But, Shelley throws the wallet and they have the encounter with the bikers. I don't know, I always love that when they're out in the car and you see the biker dude come out afterward. Just kind of exchanges looks with Shelley. And it's like, okay, we'll be good. Fucking backs up and knocks the fucking bikes down. It sets up a pretty interesting little subplot where the bikers come and try to retaliate. They want to burn down the barn and all kinds of shit. It's pretty fun, but it doesn't go anywhere. But I'm not going to tear that apart because it gave for a really fun moment. And Shelley is a character, man. He's such a sad character. I fucking love the guy. So justice for Shelley, I guess, is going to be the one of the mottos for this one. Also, the character Rick, who is Chris's love interest, boyfriend, who's, I don't know, it seems like their relationship is slightly estranged, but they still get along. It's like they're best friends who kind of fuck on the side. You almost don't buy that they're boyfriend and girlfriend. It's like, we're just really good friends who like to get together and fuck sometimes. But no, Rick is an awesome dude. Like, he wants to get his nut off this weekend, but he's not too handsy and rapey about it. So that's a good thing there. Of course, he's a hardworking guy, so you got to admire that. He's fucking doing all this work, fucking baling all that hay. It's like, how come you guys got all this fucking hay, but you don't have no horses? I don't get it. It's like, he's just a fucking country boy who's having fun doing all this work, man. And why the hell are you working so hard if you're there to enjoy the weekend? I'm not going to think about that. That's too much to think about. And real quick, of course, Richard Brooker as Jason, though. Man, Richard Brooker, I gotta say, he is to Jason what Nick Castle is to Michael Myers, being that his performance is really what serves as the sort of blueprint for how future actors would play the character. And it's really, in some ways, I do find Richard Brooker to be scarier than the Gillette Dash combo that we got in the second film. Now, of course, I think a lot of this has to do with the sizing of Richard Brooker compared to those two. The hockey mask is, sure, it's iconic, but it's not as scary as the sack head. But I think Richard Brooker coming at you is a lot more terrifying than somebody the size of Warrington Gillette or Steve Dash coming at you. That said, depending on the day, man, I could go one over the other. But I don't know, having just watched part 3, man, there is something terrifying about Richard Brooker's portrayal. And I don't think I mentioned it in part 2, but I love that Jason runs. I think a running Jason is, in some ways, and a lot of ways, quite frankly, scarier than Jason who's just walking at you. Something about running Jason is absolutely fucking terrifying. But, of course, Richard Brooker is the first Jason to rock the iconic hockey mask, courtesy of our boy Shelley. Also, the atmosphere in this film is still pretty sharp, especially during the end chase scene. And I think this one probably has the second best atmosphere out of the first 3 films. That could change in the coming weeks, we'll see. The score in this one, too, is a lot of fun. I mean, sure, we still have some cues from the first 2 films where it still has that strong resemblance and sort of allusion to Psycho. But I kind of noticed in this one they kind of did something a little different. They did incorporate some Jaws almost whenever Shelley goes to grab Vera. You get the doo-doo, doo-doo. Of course, it paces it a little different, but that's what you're feeling is they're doing the fucking Jaws thing. But I do also like how, in a lot of ways throughout this film, it does I think they call it Mickey Mousing is one of the terms they use, where the action in the film is walking hand in hand with the music, where certain beats and notations are mirroring the action that we get on screen. So that's a lot of fun there. And again, that's really all you could ask for at this point in the series. As fast as they were turning this out, just have fun with it. Plus, the Friday the 13th Part 3 theme song is a lot of fun. You got that fucking dance mix going on. Yeah, my ass is fucking moving every time that comes on when I watch this. I do also admire the cinematography throughout this film. I mean, sure, some of the 3D setups look funny as hell sometimes, but it's really the POVs and tracking shots that we get in this film that are amazing. One that particularly stands out for me is after Jason shoots Vera in the face with the spear gun, he drops it and you see him walking. He turns around, walks toward the house, and you're kind of just following him along, and he stops, and you see him looking up at one of the windows, and you see the camera just kind of glides up onto that window. There's just something about that shot, man, that's fucking amazing. Of course, you get some POV wherever after he fights off the bikers in the barn, you see him up against the window there. You get that like over the shoulder shit going on. That was actually pretty cool, because you're like, oh fuck, they're gonna go in there. They're gonna go in there, but they don't. You know, that was just a lot of fun there. But yeah, a lot of the non-3D shots in this film I think were a lot of fun. The kills in this one are a lot of fun though. I mean, you do get, again, some of them are just kind of kills to show off the 3D gags that they're pulling off in the film. There's a good portion of them that are just straight up good kills in 2D or 3D. The third act overall, too, in this film is a lot of fun. It's pretty intense, actually. Like, all the way from Chris and Rick coming back to the house, all the way to the fucking showdown in the barn. The third act is fucking relentless, and it does not stop. It doesn't let you go. And it just fucking keeps coming at you and coming at you, man. Just like Jason Voorhees, man. It keeps coming at you. And again, fucking Jason in his pursuit of Chris is fucking insane. Like, this motherfucker is determined to catch this girl. Now, going on to the things that I'm kind of mixed on. Again, some of the characters really don't do too much for me here. I mean, while they're all still fun, I mean, like, the hippie couple. I enjoy them, but they feel pretty out of place in this film. If they were in something else, I could work with it. But I don't know, they just don't fit in this one for me. And Andy and Debbie, they're really just the token pregnant couple. Which was actually, I got to admit, as a kid, that fucked me up. But, you know, it is something interesting to sort of raise the stakes a little bit. It is a interesting little addition, but, you know, it's like, you're fucking pregnant, whoopee, that's your only fucking characterization. And this one too, probably because I haven't actually seen this film in 3D, some of the gags, again, while I can appreciate them in their 2D format, some of them are laughable. But again, I think it's really in part due to not having seen it in 3D. And I think I have a sort of a new appreciation for a lot of it because watching the documentaries, knowing what a pain in the ass it was to set up a lot of these fucking shots, a lot of these tedious fucking shots too, man. Like having to set those sons of bitches up in 3D. Just all the shit they had to go through to set that up, man. I appreciate the hard work on that. And I really do intend on seeing this in 3D. I just don't have the 3D TV or all the other 3D compatibility bullshit. So in the meantime, I am stuck watching it in 2D. But yeah, the pacing too is kind of a little until about the nightfall. And that's really when I think the film starts moving forward at a much better rhythm. But it doesn't necessarily hurt the film in any way. Now, going on to the full-blown negatives, and believe me, these are pretty high on the negative aspects here. Now, while I did enjoy the third act and the whole fight with Jason, I was also pretty into the dream ending of Jason coming back to come and get Chris after she gives him that splitting headache there. I just wasn't keen on the Mrs. Voorhees jump scare of Mrs. Voorhees with her fucking head intact jumping out of the water and pulling Chris into the lake. I get that you're paying your respects to the first film, but Mrs. Voorhees had her fucking head cut off. How Chris is able to conjure up the visual of Mrs. Voorhees, I don't know. But I will say, while I don't like the idea of Mrs. Voorhees jumping out of the lake, I do think that the effects work on the face looked pretty cool. And again, the whole thing of Jason coming out of the house, that was pretty cool. But the whole Mrs. Voorhees jumping out of the water, that was absolutely unfucking necessary. Also, Jason trying to rape Chris 2 years ago. No. That's something that we didn't get any of in the second film. And we don't get it in any of the films to follow. We only really get that in this film. So I'm left asking why. I mean, if this was like a one and done type of film, sure, go ahead. But this is a fucking film where you're going to be milking it as a franchise. You don't allude to it at all in the previous film. You don't allude to it in the next film. So why do you just have it in this one fucking film? So, no thank you. Anyway, let's move on to the filthy features. And as always, we start with the favorite kill. And for the kill in this one, man, there's a lot of fun kills in here. I mean, let's just go through some honorable mentions, man. We've got Rick with the fucking eyeball popping out. That's probably the poster-worthy, iconic kill of the film. Of course, Debbie's tribute to Kevin Bacon with the machete coming out of her chest from under the hammock. But man, I gotta go with Andy. And a lot of that really just has to do with the fact that as a guy, that is one that hurts to watch. Because you got this dude fucking walking on his hands, getting ready to go grab his pregnant girlfriend a beer. The 80s. But now he's fucking walking on his hands, and fucking he sees Jason, or kind of runs into Jason in the hallway, and he looks up or down, however the physics and directions work on that. But he notices that Jason's right there, and you see from his fucking point of view from the floor, Jason just fucking drops that fucking machete on him. Like, I'm only gonna guess that he fucking cuts him like from the fucking dick up to the chest and shit. And the way that was shot too was pretty fucking ingenious. But the way that Jason goes and puts his fucking body up in the rafters afterward, that was freaking insane, man. And it just shows you that there's no getting around this guy. That was a really cool kill. And the way the blood's dropping from the ceiling too, I only noticed it recently watching the Scream Factory release, was his blood continues to drip when the camera shows him. Because I always thought it was just the one drop on the magazine and then it's like, oh, he's up there. But no, you see that blood trickling down, man. It's freaking insane. So Andy's kill. Because as a man, that pain is fucking relatable. And it hurts. Moving on to the smutty sightings, man. We've not got a whole lot in this one. Fucking sad to say. But what we do have is Andy and Debbie, who are already a pregnant couple. They get their fuck on in the hammock. So that's pretty cool, and props to them for pulling that one off. And we also get to see Debbie in the shower after the fact. It's mostly side boob shot, but we do get a quick full frontal glimpse. That's really all we get. That's all we get in the third film. This is supposed to be in 3D. You could have given us some more smut in 3D. Come on, man. Anyway, let's move on to the Friday the 13th exclusive features. Now, my favorite so far, this is going to be the Friday the 13th Pinup Girl. That's essentially the hottest chick of the Friday flick. Now, if you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said Debbie without question. But, and I mean but, I gotta go with Vera, man, because over the years she's been growing on me as being the hotter one. And when you realize that she's a Latina, Hispanic girl, you know, that just adds a little bit of a sauciness to it. And I don't know, there's just something about her character. She's playing that hard to get with Shelly, and it's like she's a girl who's gonna make you work for it, and I fucking appreciate that. And she's fucking gorgeous too, man. If she had played her cards a little better, she would have gotten something else in the eye, if you know what I mean. The Crystal Lake Memory. And this one is basically my encounter with this film, my first encounter with it. Now, this was a long ass time ago. I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and my brother and I were being watched by a friend of our mom, and this person had to go get their car fixed at her uncle's house. It was something like that. I don't remember all the details there. But this guy had like a fucking close to 1,000 VHS tapes in one of the rooms of his house. And among them was Friday the 13th Part 3. There was also Part 5 and Part 7. But it was the box art for Part 3 that really grabbed our attention. There was just something about the silhouette with the fucking blade coming through the shower curtain. And something about the cleanliness of the hockey mask on the back of the poster too really looked amazing. So my brother and I wound up watching this one. It was the second Friday the 13th film that we had seen, and it was really the first of the classic Paramount era that we watched too. So it was a boring ass day. This movie came along, and you know, for that, man, I will always, no matter where I rank it, it could be near the bottom. It could be near the top. No matter where I rank Friday the 13th Part 3, man, this one will always have a special place in my heart for that reason. So anyway, in closing, man, Friday the 13th Part 3, it's mostly an enjoyable film. I think it really does cement Jason as being the horror icon of the 80s. I mean, this fucking movie changed the face of hockey even. Bad joke aside, though, it certainly is a must-watch, though, honestly, for any Friday the 13th fan. If you're a fan of horror and you haven't seen any Friday the 13th films, this is one hell of a gateway, really, to watch Friday the 13th. If you do seek out the 3D version, though, definitely get your hands on the Scream Factory box set. The whole thing is up here, but this one has the 3D transfer in it. However, you do need the 3D TV and all the other compatible bullshit for that. But no, man, Friday the 13th Part 3, I think, is really one you gotta check out. I mean, even if you don't like it, you'll still wind up appreciating it for something. As always, thank you all for watching. Please be sure to like and share this video, and if you have not already, consider stabbing the fuck out of that subscribe button. If you're feeling extra filthy, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Do you think they spent too much time in the barn in this film? I don't. Anyway, be sure also to go and check out the reviews by Good Real Hunting, Nick Cooling, Robbie Sobel, Chase at Moser Movie Reviews, and check out the watch party by House of the Living Dead at the end of the night. And be sure to, in the meantime, check out these social media links here. We've got the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, Patreon, Stream Demons fan page over on Facebook. Be sure to check all those out, and in the meantime, stay filthy.